I'm going to call today's meeting of Public Service Subcommittee to order. And Madam Secretary, please take our roll.
Alexander, Dixie, Eldridge, Johnson, Kiesling, Powers, Rudder.
Here.
Chair Lady, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have any personal orders today? Members, no personal orders? Okay, we're ready to take up our regular calendar, and we're going to go a little bit out of order today. I've been asked by Representative Slater, I think, where are we going to? Number 6. We're gonna move to item number 6 first, which is House Bill 1554 by Representative Slater. You have a motion and a second, and you have an amendment on your bill. Could you give us that drafting code?
Yes, let me get my glasses out to make sure. 14288.
That's correct. Do we have a motion and a second on this amendment? We do, and the amendment makes the bill, so let's go ahead and put that amendment on the bill. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The amendment is on the bill. Representative, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Chair Lady, and thank you for taking me out of order, and thank you for committee for hearing me on House Bill 1554. Last year, we passed legislation to grant paid parental leave to state employees for the birth or adoption of a child. This legislation expands paid parental leave to state employees who foster a child. The paid parental leave would be 6 weeks. As amended, if a foster care parent uses only a fraction of the leave, the parent may use the balance of leave for subsequent placements. And with that, I stand ready for questions.
Do we have any questions for our sponsor today? Questions been called. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, please signify by saying no. Looks like the ayes have it, and you're moving on to full committee.
Thank you, Chair Lady.
You're more than
committee.
welcome. Okay, now we're moving back to item number 1, which is House Bill 1889 by Representative Tim Hicks. We have a motion and a second, and we do have an amendment on the bill. So could you give me that drafting code?
As soon as I find it. Thank you, Madam Chair. 014281.
Yes, that's okay. Do we have a motion and a second on this amendment? We do. And once again, the amendment makes the bill. So let's go ahead and put the amendment on the bill. All in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, no. Looks like the ayes have it, and we're going to put that amendment on the bill. And please explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This legislation simply does 3 things. First, this bill would give Stream a statutory existence. Stream currently exists as a result of a 2011 executive order which transferred the duties, management, and operations of the former Real Property Administration Division of the Department of Finance and Administration to the Department of General Services. Second, this bill would give the Department of General Services the authority to approve financial incentives for the early completion of capital projects that come under budget. Any option to offer incentives would still be subject to approval of the State Building Commission. Third, this bill would increase the threshold for State Department major maintenance projects from $250,000 to $1 million for a structure, and from $1 million to $3 million for a project excluding furniture and equipment. This increase is needed due to rising costs as a result of inflation. This increase only applies to state departments. So that's the 3 parts that the bill does. We have, I think, Mr. Hall here from General Services and other folks to speak on this bill if need be. But I'll be happy to answer any questions, or we'll get them up here to speak.
Does any of our members have questions? You want to go out of session first? Okay, we'll go out of session and have our guests please come up. So we have John Hull and Tyler Cosby. So would you just identify yourself for us and the departments that you're with? And then okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. Tyler Cosby, Department of General Services.
And I am John Hull. I'm the Deputy Commissioner in the Department of General Services.
Welcome to public service. Members, do we have any questions?
I would just, Madam Chair.
You want to go ahead and speak on the,
I have nothing to speak on. I was
Okay,
just
you just
wanting to
want-
know
oh.
just a little bit more
Okay.
about
about
this
piece
when
of
we were talking
legislation?
about, sorry.
About this piece of legislation?
Yes, about that. This is bumping it up, and I just wanted to ask on that. So it's bumping it up, Commissioner, from 250 to $1 million. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay.
Correct.
So, and again, the reason for that is, please.
Because prices have escalated. We have hundreds of buildings to take care of. And so the issues with the maintenance costs have just gone up so dramatically over the last few years. Again, we still have to get approval by the State Building Commission to do that. So it isn't that. But what happens at the $1 million and higher, that is now a capital project, which goes through the budget process. If it's under $1 million, we'd still come to the State Building Commission and they have to sign off on it, but we would be able to use our maintenance funds for our department to do that.
Okay. And thank you, Madam Chair. And as a reminder now to all those that may not know all this, explain who is on the State Building Commission for all that may be viewing for us today or within us today.
Yes, sir. So it's the Lieutenant Governor is there. Speaker Sexton is on the commission. It's also the Commissioner of F&A. It's the Secretary of State, the Comptroller, and the State Treasurer.
Thank you. That's all I have. And thank you all for being here with us today. Madam Chair, thank you very much.
Thank you. Chairman Powers. Oh, okay.
Thank you,
You're
Madam Chair. And Mr. Cosby, what region of the state are you from?
I'm from East Tennessee, from Cleveland County.
From my district, I know. I just wanted to ask you about a little bit when you were going from the 250,000 to $1 million. Okay, does that still have to go through the State Building Commission? That's not something that the commissioner can approve without their permission, right?
That is correct. It still needs a sign off by the State Building Commission.
Okay. So you were talking about the $3 million threshold too, I believe. What would that, did you say 3 million or?
I think ours was just $1 million level.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure, because when you're reading it, it looks like that the commissioner would be able to do, can they do a certain amount by themselves without going through the State Building Commission?
No, sir.
Oh, it all has to.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it still has to
Okay.
go that way.
Okay. That's all I wanted to check on.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome. Is the Building Commission on board with this?
Tyler might be able to answer that better than I.
We've had conversations with them, had a couple of conversations. I don't know that they've taken a position either way on the legislation.
Okay. Madam Chair, do we have anyone here that's on the list? Okay, thank you.
Representative Chairman Eldridge. Dixie. Representative Dixie.
Whatever you want to call me.
I'll call you Representative Dixie.
I've been called worse. Quick question for you. Under this bill, what would the commissioner of general service be able to do that he currently can't do, or he or she, in this talk in perpetuity, would not be able to do?
Yes, sir. Thank you for that question. The whole point of this bill is to give us statutory authority to do things we already do. So the way we do them now is we live under an executive order that was created by Governor Haslam back in 2011, and we go to the State Building Commission on all of our projects. What this does is actually codify for us what the responsibilities that we have are. And we feel we need that kind of support, frankly, to go out, because remember, we're negotiating in the private sector, we're working with state agencies and so forth. A lot of the property, so if you're with a Department of Correction, for instance, their responsibility is the prisons. And so, but we're responsible for the capital projects in those prisons, building the prisons, fixing the roof. This gives us the support and authority to go to and work with that agency to do so that we have under the State Building Commission.
The reason why I ask, in the amendment, it says I guess 431108 subsection B, it says the Commissioner of General Services may administer general counsel care and decision-making responsibility for all executive branch leases, yada, yada, yada. So I guess that's what was kind of confusing. Can they not do it already, or is this going to be a new responsibility for them? And if it is a new responsibility, who has it now?
Yeah, let me give you an example. So in the Department of Human Services, most of their leases are Department of General Services leases for their offices. There's about 15 that are not. And we don't know why, wherever that occurred down through time. What this bill does is it gives us the responsibility to do all their leases for them, because they don't have a real estate department. And we have many other examples in our agencies where they don't have real estate people to do things. We have them. We just don't have the support by a law that tells us that we can go into that agency and work with them to be able to do that.
And I guess maybe it's me, but I just a little confused, because it seems like we're taking something away from the State Building Commission and giving it to the Commissioner of General Services. And if like right now, it seems like that one person has autonomy to do a lot of things. And right now we have, like, as you mentioned before, 5 people that it goes by before it goes into effect. Now that gives me a little pause to go from a commission to one person.
Sure. Yeah, every lease we do, every purchase and sale of land we do, every capital project building we do, all of those go to the State Building Commission today. And under this statute, they will still go there. But what this mainly does for us is it gives us the authority to work with our state agencies, because the jurisdiction of their properties are with their agency. It's their money that pays for those things. We're the real estate people with the experience, frankly, to do those projects for them. So this gives us that authority to go in there and work with them to do that. Or otherwise, we sit back and wait. We wait for them to tell us, what do you want to do? Or how do you want to maintain a building? If not, that's their decision to do that. We think we should be much more involved with them.
All right. Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
We're back in session. Do you have anything else to share with us today?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the goal here is, if there was anything changed, it was changed in 2011. And General Services has worked the way that they've worked since that time. Okay? I've been in construction and trying to get things done my whole life. Okay? And this is setting a fine line between, I believe, getting stuff done and having to wait a period of time for somebody to approve something that's going to get probably approved anyway. It appears to me that that's what this sets a line for that. And I think it's important that for the state that we have that line so we can get work done. And anything that has to go, anything that's a big project, has to go before the State Building Commission. This is not taking anything away from that whatsoever. because it's been done this way since 2011. This is setting the amounts a little higher simply because $250,000 does not go far anymore. It just doesn't. So that's what this is doing, is really just setting a line to where these folks can do their job and be able to move forward with things that they need to move forward for. And with that, I'll renew my motion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Question's been called and we're ready to vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed by saying no. We have a no, and if you'd like to be recorded, please see the clerk. The ayes have it, and you move on to full
Thank you,
committee.
Madam Chair, and
You're
thank you,
welcome.
committee.
Next on our agenda, we have House Bill 2890 by Chairman Todd. Do we have a motion and a second on this bill? We're not, team. We have a motion. I need a motion and a second for Chairman Todd's bill, House Bill 2890. You said motion. Who says second? Second. Anybody? Gosh, I can't get them in line today. What is wrong with it? Okay. We do have an amendment on your bill. A motion on the amendment. Could you give me that drafting code?
14225.
Thank you. So the amendment also makes the bill. So let's go ahead and put that amendment on the bill. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The amendment is on the bill. And Chairman, you're recognized to explain that bill.
Thank you. Y'all making me sweat up here. I fail for lack of a second. Thank you so much for allowing me for y'all just sticking around just to hear my bill today. I know that you would have been gone other than that. Yes, apparently. This just puts some clarification in the law about some public notices and proper public notice for Open Meetings Act. Quite frankly, I think there's been some question over the years of court cases and things. So this is putting some clarification in. It defines what adequate notice is. And this shows where a government body has to post a notice at the homepage of their website in addition to whatever they're doing today. We don't want to change what they're doing today as of January 1st. There's a note in there about that. January 1st of this year, whatever they're doing, they continue to do that. And then beyond that, we want to put it on the homepage of their website if they maintain a website. And then there will be a change forthcoming, a minor. We've got an and that we're going to change to or, because I don't want to force them to put it in a newspaper if they're not right now. But we want to give them some clarification. The website's a big deal because I want to have a central place where people know to go. If it's a city council, for example, they go to that website. They know that it's going to be on that homepage. They can check it frequently. They can see not only when the meeting is, but what the agenda is. Have to have 5 days notice for the agenda. And if they change something within that 5 days, they got to put it out for another 5 days, because we don't want folks showing up and having surprises, either that their item is not going to be heard and they've made a special effort to take off work or something like that to be in attendance, or that something's been slipped in that they didn't know about and they didn't get to attend. There is an exception for special call meetings, for emergency meetings. That's in here. We wanted to make sure that's taken care of. We work with a lot of stakeholders already in this process to make sure we get this right, that they have the ability to take care of business. Like we've had some of the boards of trustees approach us about this and say, hey, sometimes we may have an issue come up where we just can't give 5 days notice. So we've got that provision in here. And all of these requirements that we're talking about, which are not too numerous, are in addition to anything else that they're required to do as of today. So I'll be glad to take some questions to get more specific if you would like.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairman, maybe I misunderstood you. Did you say there's a amendment forthcoming to do another tweak?
I do want to clean up.
If you can get it out of here, then it'll be in the full. Okay. Yes. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Eldridge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairman, has there been a problem? I mean, with some of the, I've been on county commissions and we always tried to put everything out there as much as we could. But was there some reason that this was brought up about? I mean, I understand that it's about the agenda of the meeting and everything like that, but I mean, and then there's cases where, and I know you made a provision for that, but you know, it seems like we've had just a flurry of bills dealing with open meetings, and whether they're dealing with legislative bodies or utilities or whatever. It seems like, I mean, I just wondered I guess I'm just wondering why all of a sudden we've got all these meetings that are, I mean, bills coming through about these meetings, because I never did think that we had a problem. And I mean, I know I'm just one district, but just never did think that we had an issue with that. And I'm kind of worried if we're adding a lot of things to the requirements of posting on the meetings. And I think we all probably have that person in our district that goes through and makes sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, looking for a reason to sue us or sue the district. I'm just worried that we keep pushing just a little further, wanting a little more information. And I think it opens the door for some opportunity. I mean, I think there's people out there that actually look for opportunity, and they have a axe to grind. I know I have in my county, and I just wondered about that. I mean, you got any comment on that, Chairman?
Chairman Ty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you for that question. If anything, I want to close the door so that we don't have those frivolous lawsuits or somebody nitpicking something. There are court cases that have dictated a lot of what we're doing now. For example, I think one tradition based on some court cases has been more than 48 hours, but they didn't, the court's not going to set what the actual time would be, but they've said more than 48. Well, what does that mean? And so this is just clarifying. We mean 5 days. 5 days notice is good for the public. And you mentioned a number of entities that are subdivisions of the state. So that's why we, are tasked with setting those parameters so that our citizens are protected first and foremost. We want to make sure their rights and liberties are protected. And many of these councils and commissions and boards can literally take the liberties away from individuals. And so we want to make sure that they're protected, they get adequate notice. And that's all this is about. It's just transparency and clarity, making sure that we don't rely on a court case from X number of years ago to set the precedent for what we do here. We set the policy, not the courts. The courts interpret that. And so that's really what I'm doing here, is putting a clarification on that. And as you well know, times are changing. Newspaper's been traditional way of posting notices, and folks are getting more and more used to getting their information somewhere else. So from either website, social media, we're going to include that. There is a provision here. This is going to be one of those tweaks in the amendment where in C1A lowercase ii has which does not include social media, but we're finding even some state agencies are using social media to post these notices. So in addition to other things they're doing, so we don't want to limit folks. So I'm going to tweak that, take that part out of there. And we're also going to define, there's been a question about what does traffic, news, or consumer media mean? So we're going to clarify what that means. It just, lawyer words get stuck in here, as you well know, and sometimes we need to make it a little more plain and simple. So we're going to make that a little more plain and simple. But that's the reason for this, sir.
Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairman Todd, in your Amendment 1, did you add newspapers, or was newspapers in the original bill?
I could look back and see, but our intention is that whatever they're publishing in now, however they're posting now, would not change. But one mistake that we found in this draft is it mentions in AIA on the homepage of the governing body's website, if so maintained by the governing body and a local newspaper. But we're going to change that to or. I don't want to increase any cost. Want them to use whatever mechanism they can to keep their costs down, but to reach the most people. So we're going to change that and to an or.
So you're going to amend it?
Yes, I want to make sure that they do put it on their website if they have one. But then I want to give them the choice of either newspaper or radio or TV or even a public marquee. We had one entity come to us and say they put this on their marquee. Now, I'm not sure they put the whole agenda on there, but they may be a scrolling digital thing. So I don't know what all they include, but I want to give them plenty of options, whatever they feel like is necessary for their local community.
Well,
Go ahead.
that was my question, because as it is now, you would have to do it on a website but your amendment is going to say or.
That's correct. And thank you, Madam Chair. I didn't
Thank you,
mean-
Oh,
Madam Chair.
you're fine. You're fine. Next, I think we have a question from Representative Powers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One thing you mentioned a minute ago, and I was looking through the bill about the 5-day period. So anytime the agenda would change, that would bump it up to 5 days. Is that right? You'd have to have a 5-day. So
Correct.
could you actually just keep, if you had a meeting that kept changing quite a bit, would it be bumped up like 5, 10, 15,
And
20
could be.
days like that?
It
Okay.
certainly could be. I think they would need to go ahead and have their meeting and then put out another agenda, if there are changes. But again, we just don't want citizens to be surprised. That's the main focus here. You can imagine, let's say a local municipality had an ordinance change or something, zoning even, that affects someone's property rights, what they can literally do with their property. They want to make sure they know about this, and their neighbors would want to know. So we don't want anything slipping by some mistake of something being left out. So if we put this in this manner, then I think folks will know, okay, here's our rules. We're not relying on going to look up some court cases. We can look right here and see exactly what we are required to do.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Do we have any more questions? Yes. Representative Eldridge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When you say this amendment, you're going to tweak it and change it to or, you're saying that they can post to the website or a newspaper, which to me says the newspaper is excluded. If they post it to their website, we have a county website and most everything is put there, but we also, post, notices in the local paper. And this has been my argument on several things concerning, notices. Up in our area, we still have a bunch of newspaper, little small community newspapers that the people rely on because a lot of them don't have internet service. When you talk about getting back up in the hills up there, you're not, you very barely have phone service sometimes. So the or to me says that, if I was looking at that, I would say that says I don't have to put it in the newspaper. Would you care to
You're
talk about
recognized.
that?
Thank you. And I don't want to be unclear on this. So when I'm talking about changing the and to or, I guess I'm talking about more specifically or more generally the concept. So the concept we're going to word will be whatever they're doing today, they keep doing it. If they're putting in a newspaper today, they must keep doing that. This doesn't change that. Then I want it on their homepage of the website. That's the one thing they're definitely going to have to add. And then there's going to be other options that they can do as well. Social media, radio, TV, put it on a marquee. Those will be the ors. They can choose among those things what's best for their community.
We have any more questions? Yes, Representative Alexander.
I just kind of going along with what Rick said, but I think that if we worded it to say the following can be used to announce your meetings instead of doing an and or an or, so we don't get into those, but just like list them, then I think we get away from the concern that they have. And also we can't say, if you've been doing it this way, you've got to continue to doing it because for example, in my town, we recently, you get your mail delivered through your post office now, not by someone dropping it at your door like we used to. Our newspaper comes like that. Gets delivered through the mail. The newspaper does. And for me, I said, I'll just do it online because by the time I get it in the afternoon, it's old news. So, and we're getting, there are newspapers going out of business every day. And if we require them to still advertise in a newspaper, the newspaper might not be there. So we have to be careful with that wording.
Certainly want to be, and so I'm
Yeah.
not giving you the exact language. I'm going to let
But
legal deal with that and make
work
sure
on
we
it.
get this concept. I want you to understand my concept that I'm trying to get forward, that we're not changing what the requirements are for them to do today. Whatever those requirements are, they need to keep doing that as of January 1. That's why that's in there. And then we're just adding for sure their website. If they hold a website, they don't have to create one if they don't have one, but if they have one, put it on the front page. And then beyond that, there's going to be plenty of options for them to use. I don't want to create an additional cost at all. These are all things that that wouldn't necessarily cost them money. They're choices that won't cost them a dime. If they decide to go with radio, TV, they may be public service announcements where it doesn't cost them. That's up to them. I don't want to dictate something on them that's going to cost them any money.
Thank you. Representative Johnson, did you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairman Todd, of course, I'm good with whatever you want to do, but you know, we try to have a clean bill when they go to full. Would you consider rolling this week so we can get the exact language?
Be glad to. Absolutely. Totally at the will of the committee.
Thank you.
Okay, then that's what we'll do. We'll roll this for 1 week.
Okay. Thank you, committee. Appreciate that.
Next is item number 3, which is House Bill 2176 by Representative Lynn, and that has been rolled for 1 week. Next up is item number 4, which is House Bill 2313 by Representative Travis. Motion and a second, and there are no amendments, and so Representative, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. Today I stand before you for Original State Song. I don't know if many of you may have went to the Tennessee Waltz back in 2022 when Miss Kelly Lane performed the Tennessee Waltz. And under the Tennessee Waltz, she also did Under a Tennessee Moon. And if you guys look up into the sky this week, you'll see what they call a snow moon, which one of the brightest moons that there is. And Miss Kelly Lane was born in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and moved to Henderson, Tennessee in 1976 as a child. And her father, Mr. Lane, he was the manager for the legend Conway Twitty. Miss Lane has had her songs recorded by Ricky Skaggs, Lori Morgan, the Oak Ridge Brook Boys, Crystal Gale, George Jones, B.J. Thomas, Jerry Lee Lewis, T.J. Shepard, which is her husband, and Johnny Lee. And this Under a Tennessee Moon is a beautiful song. It's a beautiful state. It talks about her state. And this is how she come up with the Tennessee Moon. It was a conversation with her and her mother while driving through the signature parts of East Tennessee with the red and gold blankets of the state of autumn. So her mother noted the beauty of the landscape, the unique history that it cradles, and how they come to call Tennessee their home. And her mother requested that she write a song describing the nature splendor, culture, and character that belongs to the state of Tennessee. With that, I will answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? Yes, Chairman Keesling.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Unfortunately, Representative, I have not heard this song. I apologize, but I haven't. So would it be possible to call upon Callan Barrett back there to come forward and sing this song for us? No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Forgive me. That's a wrap for me, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I call previous question.
Question's been called, and so we're ready to vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, signify by saying no. And the ayes have it, and you move on to full committee.
Thank you, Madam
You're
Chair. And
welcome.
that was good, Kelly.
Next up, we have item number 5, which is House Bill 2230 by Representative Love. Do we have a motion and a second? We do, and there are no amendments, and so Representative, please explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. This piece of legislation is designed to create the Reverend Kelly Miller Smith Senior Week of Service and encourage residents of the state to perform works of community service during the week. The Reverend Dr. Kelly Miller Smith Senior was born in October 28th, 1920, a preacher, author, and prominent activist in the civil rights movement, and has been the pastor, was the pastor's First Baptist Church, Capitol Hill, which just down from the Capitol here, was instrumental in helping establish the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and founded the Nashville Christian Leadership Council here in Nashville. Also, the Institute of Black Church Studies at Vanderbilt University is named after him. And with that, Madam Chair, I'll stand for questions about Reverend Kelly Miller Smith Sr.
Do we have any questions? Questions being called. We're ready to vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. And you move on to full
Thank
committee.
you, Madam Chair, committee
You're
members.
Next up, let me see. We've already taken care of 6, and so we're moving to number 7, which item number 7, which is House Bill 2143 by Representative Greg Martin. I have a motion and a second. There's no amendments, and so Representative, please explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and Committee. This bill seeks to work in the space of our foster care and getting more people into foster care that can provide the love and attention that children in our state need. We do not have nearly enough foster families, and so this bill seeks to take a step towards addressing that issue by allowing Tennessee state employees to complete their training to become foster parents during their employment without having to use their paid sick, annual, or compensatory time. There's a total of 43,136 full or part-time state employees across all 3 branches. It can be estimated that approximately 200 state employees are or will become foster parents. And this bill does set forth boundaries to ensure that it's not abused. For example, the language places a cap on the number of hours that can be used and requires a form to be created and used to track the hours completed. And this bill only allows employees to utilize their time to take the required training in in-service courses. And with that, Madam Chairman, I'll be happy to try to answer a question.
Do we have any questions? Question's been called. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and you move on to
Thank you.
full committee. Item number 8, which is House Bill 2387 by Representative Fritz, has been taken off notice. That brings us to item number 9, which is which is item number 9, which is House Bill 2736 by Representative Himmer, and that bill has also been rolled for 1 week. Item number 10, which is House Bill 2262 by Representative Darby. You have a motion and a second. There are no amendments, and so you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. House Bill 2262, under current law, blind vendors are entitled to statutory preference in the operation of vendor facilities on most public property in Tennessee. Under this program, which dates back to 1949, the Department of Human Services has the right of first refusal and the exclusive right to the operation of any and all vending facilities on public property that determines are capable of being operated by a blind individual that it licensed. Public property is broadly defined and includes all property owned or leased by the county with the exception of primary and secondary schools and airports. Notably, this includes the sheriff's department and the jail commissary, which is the subject of the bill. House Bill 2262 would not alter anything about the structure of this program. And let me repeat that. This bill would not alter anything about the structure of this program. It simply requires that contracts for this software utilized by inmate commissary facilities to be competitively bid. The current contract costs the state close to $2.5 million. It is a sole source contract that has never been competitively bid, nor is it subject to oversight by the Fiscal Review Committee. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Do we have any questions for our sponsor? Question's been called. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying no. The ayes have it, and you move on to full committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're
and committee.
welcome. Next up, we have item number 11, which is House Bill 1622 by Representative Hale. We have a motion and a second. No amendments. Representative, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee. House Bill 1622 was brought to me, myself, Representative Sherrill, and Senator Bowling at Motlow in McMinnville at a groundbreaking ceremony back in the summer. And the issue was that certified, post-certified campus officers are not receiving the supplemental pay that other police officers, certified officers are receiving, and asked if they couldn't be included in that. And you know, the fact is they're protecting our most important commodity. UT's police chief came and visited with me a couple of weeks ago when UT Day on the Hill, and was so thankful for the bill. And I got to thinking about it. He probably has more officers on his force than what a lot of cities and counties have across the state. And in any given Saturday up there, he's protecting, responsible for over 100,000 people and the job that they do. So that's what the bill does. It just includes them, brings them in, and gets them that supplement pay that we're paying to other post-certified officers. So with that, I stand for question.
I'm just curious, does this apply to private and public colleges and universities, or just?
Yeah, that would be colleges, any campus post-certified police officer would qualify for that.
Any more questions for our sponsor? Looks like we're ready to, question's been called. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying no. The ayes have it, and you're moving on to full committee.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Next, we have item number 12, which is HJR 849 by Chairman Powers. Do we have a motion and a second? We do. No amendments. Chairman, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, HJR 849 is a resolution to urge the United States to withdraw from the United Nations. The United Nations were created in 1945 in the aftermath of World War II as a means of trying to establish greater cooperation among countries. But now the United States provides 1/4 of the UN's budget. They actually spent $12.5 billion in 2021, which include their assessed amount plus any voluntary amount. The UN often pursues an agenda that runs counter to what Americans' policies and goals should be. Other UN initiatives threaten American sovereignty, such as the Law of Sea Treaty, the UN Framework Convention, climate change, and the Arms Trade Treaty. In 2019, Venezuela, under the control of Maduro's authoritarian socialist government, was added to the organization's Human Rights Council. In 2011, the UN General Assembly held a moment of silence for the death of North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un II, despite his record of atrocities in killing his own people. The UN has a history of anti-Israel rhetoric and actions. In 1975, the General Assembly Resolution 3379 determined that Zionism is a form of racism and racial discrimination. In 2016, a resolution adopted at the annual meeting of the World Health Organization singled out Israel as the only violator of mental, physical, and environmental health. And since 2015, 140 UN resolutions have been filed criticizing Israel. During that same time, 68 resolutions have been filed against all other countries combined. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, called UNRWA or UNRAW, has extensive links to Gaza and Islamic terrorist groups such as Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Approximately 1,200 of UNRWA's 12,000 employees in Gaza are believed to have connections with these terrorist groups. 12 UNRWA employees were directly involved in the Hamas October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel, and 190 of their employees have doubled as Hamas militants. The United States has an excellent relationship with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, which functions similarly to the UN, but in manners more closely aligned with the U.S. interest. H.R. 849 urges Congress and the President to withdraw from the United States from the United Nations and strengthen American ties with NATO so to better serve our country's interest. With that, Madam Chair, I renew my motion. Part of it.
Do we have any questions? I'm going to go to Representative Dixie first. Go. You don't have a real question? No. It's not a real question? Okay, we're going to go to the real question. Okay, we're going to go to Chairman Keesley.
Thank you, Representative Dixie, and thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick one. I know through your research you know the answer to this, but I'm just curious. I know it's going to be an outstanding amount. Can you give me the total budget of the UN?
Yes.
Annual budget.
The total budget is about $4 billion, and that was 2021. So I know it's up.
Thank you. It's
but,
incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Chairman. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, a real question.
All right. So not a real question, but honestly, I just don't have the energy. So I like to call previous question.
I like
the way you think today. I'm liking the way you think today. So
Yes.
previous questions have been called, so we're going to vote on this resolution, I guess. Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying no. If you want to be recorded as a no, see the clerk. The ayes have it, and we're moving on to full committee. I think that brings us to the end of our calendar today, and so without objection, we got. Oh, I'm sorry. See, I forgot about you. House Bill, item number 13, House Bill 2418 by Representative Dixie has been rolled for 2 weeks. And now that concludes the business for today. And if there are no objections, we will be adjourned.